going through Barcelona, my wife and I were like, yeah, we could see ourselves like living in a city like this because it's like really, really beautiful, like old architecture mixed with new architecture. Everyone's really nice, and at least it was nice to know because we both speak Spanish. Like, oh, if we got lost, we could stop to anybody and go like, hey, how do we get to where? Oh yeah, just go da 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 da.
You didn't have any Ryan Lockley moments, did you?
No, thankfully. But it was like funny as shit because like Paris, man, that was the only thing we were afraid of was like, oh shit, we're gonna get lost and like, you know, between me and her broken French, we were like, yeah, I don't know if we're gonna be able to find out how to get where we need to go.
Wait, you ain't doing Pokemon, right? So you didn't do no Pokemon out there?
I did when I was connected to to internet, which was next to any Apple store or any free Wi-Fi we could find.
Oh, you see anybody else out there playing Pokemon?
Oh yeah, that was fucking people like crazy.
Oh, for real?
Oh yeah, dude. You'd see them all around with the fucking phone, just going around. Everybody just looking for whatever they could find.
Damn, bringing people together in gaming.
I was hoping to catch one of those like rare ones that you could only catch while on in Europe. I was like, oh, that'd be freaking cool as shit.
Yeah, you see a Pokemon, you're like, oh, it's a rat. I got rats back here. What is this shit? Went halfway around the world for a goddamn
Rattata.
International rats, my ass.
Back with a new show deep in the basement. Professionalism turned off, screw the ad placement. Skit, comedy, trolling, plate full of dough. People get offended, you don't get the show.
Alright, we're back with another show. I'm J.A. here with Randy. What's up?
What's up? What's up?
Alright, so, look, you know what? There was this episode of Star Trek Next Generation where Wesley Crusher came back on the Enterprise and everyone was playing this game. And you put on these glasses and you had to like get this little ball in the cup. It kind of reminded me of like Ball in the Cup from fucking Family Guy. And it turned out like it was like brainwashing everybody. And he's walking around like, why is everybody playing this freaking game? And they're trying to get him to play it. And he's like, no, I got to stop it. And he's the only one that like pretty much figures out that it's like some alien conspiracy. I feel like that's what's happening with Legion. Everyone's like calling me up. All these people that profess, oh, I'm quitting WoW like it's cocaine, and now they're calling me up. Hey, guess what? I'm back, and I'm back on the crack.
I do believe it. What? It is not cocaine. It is heroin.
Oh, it's heroin. Okay, I'm sorry. I haven't been on drugs for a long time, so I kind of forgot. Yeah. So I mean, look, I saw the cinematics. It's funny too because most of what I saw people playing, they're going back and fishing. Like I go back, I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm cooking, I'm fishing. They're in Dalaran, and I'm like, okay, where's the cool shit? Oh, I'm gonna get to that. So I mean, you're playing. Convince me. What's so awesome about Legion? Why is everyone going back?
So this is the big thing about it is like I've always been the type of World of Warcraft player where I would play through like the story of it, maybe run the end game raid one time or so, and wouldn't like do the grind that everybody did because as everybody knows what World of Warcraft is, you spend months grinding away doing your raids, you get all this epic gear, and literally a new expansion pack drops out, you do 5 freaking quests and you've replaced that epic gear with greens that are like 10 times better than what you had from all this grinding that you did, which I've always thought is ridiculous. But the thing that to me that brought me back to Legion was like the beginning cinematics that they kind of showed where all the shit started happening, which spoilers, King Valoran and I forgot the name of the
Sylvanas?
No, it's not Sylvanas. It was one of the head of the trolls. He took over.
Yeah.
Get killed off literally at the beginning of the game. So like by Gul'dan and all this and that. So it was funny when I read articles about it because they were like, oh yeah, all that stuff that you did in Warlords of Draenor where you changed the timeline. Yeah, that's not going to make a difference for Legion. Yet you start playing through Legion and you're like, yeah, they seem to be like picking up where the remnants of, Warlords of Draenor left off. So they kind of are keeping that time continuity intact. But the big thing that like they touted about, especially like the pre-patch and then supposedly now this big Legion patch, was they wanted to make each specialization of each class feel unique. Which I remember playing in Warlords of Draenor. It didn't matter whether you played a Frost Mage or a Fire Mage and all that. It kind of felt samey, where you had a lot of spells that crossed over, and it was just like, okay, yeah, now I'm doing fire damage. Okay, yeah, now I'm doing, ice damage. And even kind of like the same way with like the rogues and the hunters and stuff. And then of course you had like those dudes like you used to know that would freaking crunch the numbers of like, I want to get the best DPS spec out there and and it was like going up and up. But like now, I started playing my rogue. I had that leveled out to 100 or whatever, and I started playing it a bit, and it's pretty neat because now the big thing with Legion is, as they've done all this like heirloom gear and stuff like that, they made it where as you go questing along, you go and you get a weapon based on your spec. And what it does is, what's pretty neat is they made it where now the weapon itself has like a talent tree that as you go leveling it up, you get what they call artifact power. And it levels up just like how you would level up. And then you can actually select where these like levels go in the weapon. So it'll do more damage for specific things and all that. The only thing I've kind of heard online where people kind of like complain about it is that they're like, well, the only kind of thing that sucks is every, let's say, rogue that plays, an assassination is going to have a weapon that looks exactly the same, which is true. They're all exactly the same.
Yeah, because the idea when they showed me, they were showing how if you get the weapon items, kind of like it's like in Diablo, where you could transmute based on if you got the item. So it'd be like in Diablo where you're walking around and it's like, hey, look, I got this cool item. Oh, let me pick it up so that I could get, the set picture, and then you could transmute it into the item and use gold to get it. So if you get a really badass looking sword, then you transmute it into that sword skin. But then if there's probably one sword that everyone thinks looks badass and so many rogues will get it, of course you'll have some people that, will get whatever sword they like, but you're going to have a whole bunch of rogues that be like, this is my badass sword, and that's going to be 1,000 rogues that want it.
Yeah, so that was the only thing that I saw like in looking reviews and all that. People like docked it, which I was like, oh yeah, everybody's essentially that initial skin. Everybody's gonna have that. It's kind of neat because like they do a good job where you can go and customize. Like it has a couple of things that you can do where you can like change the color, and it has some skins that you can kind of like alternate to it. But you can always still go to like they changed the way that the transmute thing works, where they made it way simpler. It costs gold now. You don't have to go on these like insane things to get these stupid charges to get them to transmute. So you literally go, everything that you've unlocked, like it has a thing in your character panel and shows all the skins that you've unlocked. You can literally select it, say these are my favorites, go to the transmute guy and say I want to buy all my favorites, and then boom, your armor looks exactly like that. So they've streamlined a lot of the stuff that used to just take forever. The other thing that's really interesting that they did was with the heirloom gear. So if you remember before, you literally had to buy or go and grind out to get those the honor stuff or whatever, and then you could purchase a piece of heirloom gear. Right. Now they actually made it where there is a vendor in the main cities that sells the heirloom gear for 500 gold for each piece. So it has literally all the heirloom gear except I believe the weapons that you had to get from Garrosh Hellscream from raiding. But you can literally purchase them, and then once you purchase them, it doesn't matter on which character you have, it goes into your collection. And any character that you log in with, you can pull up this pane and it has it there, and you literally right-click and it generates a piece of that gear for your character. Now, the thing that's interesting that they did it is when you purchase it for the 500 gold, it goes from level 1 to, I believe, level 90. on the thing, or I think it goes 1 to 60 or so, or like it's whatever the level cap was before. I think one of the major patches, and literally for about I think 1,000 gold mode, you can upgrade that one piece of armor from that level cap up to 90, and then you buy another thing for like 1,500 gold or something like that, and then it goes from 90 to 100. But once you do it that one time, that's it. Every single time you create that heirloom gear, it goes from 1 to 100. So it's really neat because the way that they kind of did it is like if you do like I did a mage, you pull up the heirloom thing and it'll show you all the cloth-based heirlooms that you have. And you can just tick, 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 right click, and then just boop, 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 and then you have everything there. So it's really neat how they did it. Like I thought at first when I saw that, I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to spend a crap ton of gold upgrading every one of these heirloom gears for each of my tunes. But then I realized like, oh, you upgraded on the panel and then it's upgraded in the panel. So it's interesting how like they've done stuff. Like it's pretty cool. Like I'm gonna do essentially the same shit that I've done pretty much every time, is like play through the story, see how the story is. Once they release the full end raid, just do the end raid just to see how it ends, and then like, all right, put it back onto the shelf type of thing.
So last time we had garrisons, and that was the thing, and you had people that loved it, and then the other people that hated it. You know, you had people like, oh, you're living in your garrison, you know, you don't really even have to leave your garrison, and some people were like, that's great, because, you know, you had some of the people that wanted you to go out in the world, and then you had the people that were like, no, I don't want to have to go out in the world, screw that. And now you have like your own little class area, you know, like I saw my friend playing the rogue, the class halls, and you go and you click on it and you go inside there and all that. And it seems like WoW is taking a little other things from other games and stuff. That's what people are saying. What do you think of like the little class halls and stuff? That's also where you say you go and you put the relic points into your sword or whatever piece of weapon you have.
So the thing that's interesting with like the class hall, so like you're saying, with warlords you have the garrison, which was interesting about the garrison is it was your own thing. So you literally like did everything by yourself. You didn't have to worry about people coming in and grabbing certain things, which was kind of neat in the way that they like. I liked how they kind of did it, where as you upgraded the garrison itself, it added more stuff to it. So like you had your own personal mine, you had your own personal like herb garden that you could grab stuff, and then of course that was kind of like how you grinded the end game crafting stuff, where you had to like do those work orders to get the actual work orders. Now it kind of seems like it's a place where everybody goes. So it's the same thing as before. I mean, granted, you pick whatever you want. Now, the one thing that was really interesting about Legion, which was completely different from Draenor, which I don't know. Did you play any of WoW for Draenor and all that?
Yeah, I played all the way up to where it was really like endgame. So I never saw like the final story.
So you know how in Draenor, just like every other thing of WoW that they had, you basically started going to one zone, you quested till you did all the quests, and you moved on to the next zone, you quested all that, and you kept going. Yeah. So there literally was a flow of the story that you went through every single zone. What's interesting that they did with Legion, and I would be so interested in to see how the hell they got this thing to work, is when you start and you get your class hall going, they tell you, okay, we got to plan our plan of attack on how we're going to start fighting against the Legion. And you basically go, and there's 4 zones that you choose from. And you say, okay, I want to go to this zone. It says, cool, go to such and such place. It'll take you to that zone. So you go. And now the thing that I noticed is I got to the first zone, which was, I picked Ashara, which was pretty interesting because that happens to be the spot where like all the druids, all the lore of the druids was, where Malfurion and Illidan eventually were from and all that. And I started playing and I started going through. And I realized like I'm level 100 and I'm going through this area and all the creatures I'm clicking on are like level 100. But I'm going through and I realize there's this dude attacking, like killing creatures in my same area. And I click on the guy and I realize, wait a minute, he's 104. So I'm like, but he's killing a creature that's in my area. But to me, I'm clicking on the creature and it's 100. It's level 100. So I was looking at it and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And I realized, like, as I'm going around, there's not everybody's level 100. There's people level 100, 103, 104, 107. And I'm like, the hell? And that was when I kind of like looked into it. And apparently for Legion, what they did was the game itself does something where whatever level you are, when you go in there, the creatures and everything are at your level.
Ah.
So if you go in at 100, the creatures are at 100. You go in at 107, all the creatures are 107. So it basically makes the experience the same. And what it helps to cut down on is what ended up happening with, if you remember Warlords of Draenor, it's like, hey, go collect this item from this area, and you get there and there's 100 people waiting for this one thing to spawn so you can click on it.
Right.
So it's essentially eliminated that by making it that it doesn't matter where you go, you just play through this storyline to it. The one thing that does seem interesting, though, that I did notice with it is it doesn't seem like how when you got to Warlords that it was, hey, you have to get 1,000,000 XP to get to your next level, and it freaking felt like it took forever for you to gain a level. Like now, I went through the first area, and I got to 102, and I'm like, okay, that was kind of quick. You know, went to the next area, I'm like halfway through, I'm already 103, and I'm like, man, it doesn't seem like as grindy as it used to be, which is nice.
Yeah, the thing with the leveling of the creatures, they had that back in the release of Guild Wars 2. You know, it would rise the level. Well, it was more the down leveling. But it would also rise the level too, because if you were high level and you went back into a lower level zone, it would raise the level up, and that allowed you to go back and either help someone out, or if you had a quest there, or if you were even going to get like cooking or other materials, it's not like you would just run through and just murder anything in the zone. So
yeah, that was the thing is where that's the interesting thing is Guild Wars 2. What it would do is it would leave all the creatures the same level. It would down level you to the zone.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was.
Yeah. So this one, it's the creatures are down level to you. Either that or they're doing the same thing where it's like leveling you to a specific thing, because that's the thing is one of my friends that plays, he showed me a screenshot, like we were playing together and we both took a picture of this creature that we clicked on and saw how much life and everything it had, and he was a 104, I was a 101, and his creature had more life points and stuff like that as compared to mine, you know. But when we fought it, we pretty much, like, we were both the same class, we both lost about the same amount of life fighting against it. So it wasn't like, oh, his creature like killed him off more, you know, more quickly than I did. So it was interesting where it was like, damn, they made it where like you're going to experience it the same way, you know, no matter which way you go through, which I find it funny as hell because I was leveling up my Shadow Priest, she's not even 100 yet. So I've been going through the Warlord stuff, and because of some guy playing, I was like, damn, I'm gonna have to go and level up my mage, because dude, I was in this area where I was surviving, but I was barely surviving. This fucking fire mage just came through and like nuke the shit out of like groups of 3 and 4 mobs, just like dead. And I'm like, fuck, I'm struggling to kill one of these motherfuckers. I'm like, I'm killing them one by one and then sitting down and eating. This dude just came in with killed everybody. Who's like, all right, fuck it, I'm rolling out of this place.
Yeah, that's like when I saw the new Demon Hunter class. I'm like looking at someone play that, and I'm like, okay, is this gonna be the new?
It's a new Death Knight.
Yeah, Death Knight, and I'm like, Jesus.
Like it's their story, at least so far, is pretty interesting because it starts off the initial playthrough that you play with them before Burning Crusade, time-wise. Like, year-wise, it's supposed to be, like, before all the Burning Crusade stuff and everything like that. So even before the original storyline of World of Warcraft happens. And what ends up happening is they entrapped you in, like, a crystal, which is what they did with Illidan and all that, and then when the events that happen now that the Burning Legion is busting through, the wardens that have you protected are like, okay, we need help. and they're demon hunters anyways. We're gonna have to bust these people out and have them help us, whether they want to or not. So it's one of those, like, they bust you out and they're like, hey, so yeah, demons are coming through and attacking our world, so you can either help us kill them or we can put you back into your jail cell. So that's essentially what it breaks down to.
I also like that, and I don't know if this is exactly from Guild Wars 2, but they have it where, like, when you finish a quest, you kind of have like a thing where a certain area radius, you have like mobs that'll spawn, and you have banners that you destroy and things like that, and you have like a percentage that you have to get.
So that, it looks like that reminds me not only of Guild Wars, but if you remember Rift had those like public quests and stuff like that, which was kind of interesting. Although the only thing that I've noticed so far, it kind of is like a public quest, but not really, because the percentage thing only goes up based on what you do. So it doesn't matter how many people are there doing it, like, you're the one that does the thing. Which kind of reminds me, they kind of sort of did a thing with Warlords of Draenor. If you remember those little, like, the shields with the swords that you went into, and it's like, oh, kill X amount of mobs and do this and do that, and then you got experience for doing that. It kind of like dragged that over, which is kind of the same. So like it's they continued that, which was interesting. Now that you brought that up.
It also looks like a lot more of the quests have like dialogue and a little bit more interactions, more cinematics. So and from what people have told me, it allows people who play alone to do a lot more. It's not like a lot of the quests you have to even get groups and stuff like that, which some people will hate. But let's face it, over time, more and more people are playing by themselves, so you kind of have to cater to that.
And that was kind of like the thing, if you remember, of like Guild Wars and stuff like that. Like, once you came across one of those public things, it was like, hey, you're going to group up with people whether you want to or not. Like, you didn't have to get into a group with them, but you were like, yeah, you're gonna need help. There's no way you're gonna do this by yourself, you know. And I kind of look at it as, if you've played enough of Guild Wars 2, where you have those like world events that happen every like hour or whatever, yeah, try and do one of those by yourself. You're never going to get through, not even the beginning part of it, you know.
Have you done any PvP or anything?
Nah, I never did PvP in World of Warcraft. Like, I used to do it way back when, and I just never really liked it. And only reason why, like, if I did any PvP, it was the capture the flag stuff, which was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Because it was always fun to like sit there, like, steal a flag as a rogue and take off running, and then zoom your camera out as far as you could, so you see your dude is like a little dot, and you could see people trying to catch up to you to get the flag. It was always fun. Either that, or you played the defensive rogue, where you just sat in your base, just cloaked, waiting for somebody to come and grab the freaking the flag and just assassinate them as soon as they came in.
So it's just you playing, like your wife.
Yeah, I'm just playing by myself. Yeah, no, it's me by myself, which is interesting. But it's like I said, the PvP. I think I only played in a PvP server for all of 20 levels and got out of it. Why? Because I got sick and tired of, hey, let me go to this town that I need to turn in my quest, and you're like, where the fuck is everybody? No, you're like, where the fuck is everybody?
They killed everybody.
They killed everybody in the town, and then as soon as an NPC comes up, they're dead, and it's like, well, now I'm stuck here fucking, trying to do something. And I mean, it was interesting because at the beginning, I didn't know, do I want to play Alliance? Do I want to play Horde? And at the time, a bunch of my friends were playing Alliance, so I've always played Alliance. And then Roger, if you remember, my best friend, Vu from Red Eye, he started playing Horde. So he convinced me, like, oh, you should play Horde. We're on a PvP server. And I'm like, dude, you're fucking nuts. And mind you, I had played on the Alliance side and realized, there's this one area that you get to where it's when you first really start to see crossover between Alliance and Horde players. And playing as Alliance, you get to that zone, you're about level 40-ish or so. As Horde, you go into that zone at level 20. So when we were questing and we're going along and we start getting to this area, I'm like right away going, fuck, there's going to be Alliance players around here. Sure enough, dude, I'm sitting there doing my quest. Here comes an Alliance guy. He's just standing there. Of course, he's level 40. And I'm like, dude, he's going to attack me. And he's just standing there. And I'm like, oh, maybe he's not. I start attacking my creature. I get this creature down halfway. This motherfucker unloads on me and kills me. And I'm like, motherfucker. So I go out, spawn again, and I'm playing a rogue, which is funny. I spawn again. He spots me, boom, 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 shoots and kills me again. And I'm like, oh, this is how it's going to be. So literally, the thing I end up doing is, and this is this area, I forgot what the name of it was. There was a bunch of these little like huts and shit like that. So I literally spawn in. As soon as I spawn in, I use my vanish to disappear so I can stealth, because I knew he was going to have me targeted. And I just start running around in circles around these huts. He's trying to find me because I see him running around. And eventually I like work my way and then just sat inside of a hut, cloaked, just waiting there. And I could hear him in my speakers just running around the huts. And I knew he was looking for me. And I knew he could kind of like see me, quote unquote, like not actually see me because I was inside the hut, but he could hear me when I would like, if you remember when someone's cloaked and you come near him, that you see him and you hear the ooh of the clothing. So I could tell he was hearing that, but he didn't know where I was. So he's running around trying to find me. And I'm like, if this motherfucker comes in this damn hut, I'm screwed. But I hear him running. And then I hear him stop. And I'm like, this guy's just standing still because he wants me to come out. And I'm like, no, I'm not coming out. And sure enough, I wait. And then I hear him running around again, and stop. And then finally I hear him just like mount up and take off. And I'm like, now he left. And I'm like, damn, dude. As soon as that happened, and Roger was like, isn't this fun? I'm like, it freaking sucks. You can't do anything to level up. I'm like, I don't want to be sitting there with that fear over my shoulder of like, do I attack this mob? Or do I sit there for 20 minutes looking around to make sure there's nobody here?
Yeah, that's fun when you have like, 24 hours a day to play. And
yeah. Well, and that was the thing, is he used to play constantly. Like he went, like I would play, we got both of us together probably like level 20, and we stopped. I come back the next day from work, and he went to work. This is the kicker. And I'm like, all right, cool, we can take off. I'm level, like, let's go back to that level 20. He's like, level 20? He's like, dude, I'm level 30. And I'm like, level 30? I'm like, what the fuck have you been doing? He's like, playing? And I'm like, did you even go to sleep last night? Because I was like, dude.
That's the thing. You have to start. If you really want to level up, you got to incorporate your life into it. That's why I asked if anyone else is playing the game, because then that's when you got to be like, you got to get the misses into it and everything like that. Because otherwise, then that time starts cutting. You got to be like, hey, you interested in this game? You ever try that? Be like, hey, you want to play some WoW? And then she looks at it and like, no.
She likes the lore and the story. Like that's the thing that's great, is like I tell her about the story and she really like digs the story. She just like will start playing and was like, nah, I don't like this. But she'll love to like watch me play and see the story of it. Like, dude, I'll put it to you this way: Resident Evil 4, when that damn thing came out, that was a game that she had no interest in it whatsoever until I started playing for 5 minutes, and she saw what the story started going, and I went to turn it off. She's like, you're not turning it off now, are you? Because she just got so into the story. And that was the thing, is Resident Evil 4 had an amazing story to it.
See, I always wonder, because I remember watching some of these videos of like couples playing, and I was like, wow, this is cool to see couples playing. But then you see the other side. I remember in EverQuest hearing about some of these people that had like divorces and stuff, and you'd hear like some of these fights over it wasn't even TeamSpeak back then, but they'd have like either on the phone or something. But when we finally did have some kind of voice or something, they'd have fights over something. Especially, a lot of times it's not a stereotype, because a lot of times women would play the healer. And, you'd get some of these overbearing guild leaders, and they'd be like, heal! They start yelling, and it's like, yeah, that's your wife or your girlfriend. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, at what point do you separate how much you really need to instruct the person you're with? This is guys or girls now. Maybe we should put this on a poll. At what point do you put down that instruction tone, and you think to yourself, this person next to me, I either gotta sleep with them, if I hope to sleep with them, and I hope to have some kind of life with them, but at the same time, I need to instruct them on how to do something. What would you say about that?
Oh, that's the type of thing where it's like, yeah, that's a tough a tough thing where there are people that they're like, yep, I love playing games with my significant other, and there's people like, fuck no. Like it's the old saying of if like over here in Massachusetts, we'll have, like, especially in the spring and the fall, we have in some of the parks where you can rent canoes and kayaks, and literally like you'll go and like you'll see couples come up and they'll be like, do you want 2 individual ones or do you want 1 double one? And like there's people that'll be like, oh, let's get a double one, and they're like, oh, so you want the divorce maker? Okay, yeah, go down to the dock, you know. And I will tell you, dude, that shit is like crazy. Like they don't call them that for no reason, you know.
It's like we're gonna play co-op. You're playing a game. You're like, shoot the zombie, shoot that motherfucker. I mean, I'm sorry, honey. I'm sorry. Please, please.
I will tell you the best, and I swear to God, this is the funniest, best, lovingest story that I have of the time my wife and I tried to play video games together. So, and this is gonna be a throwback to the Xbox, the original Xbox, playing Halo on it. We decided, hey, let's play Halo together. So we're like, cool, let's play co-op. So we're going through it, and I'm like, oh, it's co-op. You know, she's played games before. I'm gonna bump up the difficulty like a little bit. Not a lot, just a little. So we run out into this room, and sure enough, boom, door opens up in the back, and freaking here starts the enemies pouring in. And I'm sitting there shooting the shit out of them, going, running, trying not to die, shooting, ducking, getting behind stuff. And I'm like, honey, I need you to start shooting. I'm the only one shooting. And she's like, all right, I'm trying. She's like, hold on, where the hell am I? And this is what I hear. I'm like, where the hell am I? I'm like, what? And she's like, I think I'm lost. So I'm going through, I'm sitting there killing. I'm like, can you find your way back? And she's like, I have no idea where I am. All right, cool. I go, stay where you are. I sit there and I don't know how, without dying, kill off this whole wave of aliens. And then I like turn around and I'm like, where the hell is she? I realize, okay, she's not in the room that I'm here. And then like I like start looking for where her silhouette is so I could go follow it. And right away I start laughing because I realize her silhouette, her character's like this, aiming straight down at the floor. So I'm like, okay. So I go and I realize I don't know how, like I guess like what happened was we came into the room, and when the aliens started coming in, she backed off because they were like attacking the crap out of both of us. So she backed off and then somehow turned around and ran backwards, and then ran into like a hallway that had like a staircase and got stuck in the staircase because she like freaked out and like tensed up and then pushed up on the controller, so she looked straight down. So it was so funny because she was like literally like going in circles in this stairwell, and she got stuck basically looking straight down. And then it was like coaching her through, like, all right, walk forward, turn left, turn right. And then like she started kind of to get it, and she was like, all right, this is way too complicated. She's like, I'm going to go crazy if I keep trying to do this. But every single time, like it will always come up, and we laugh ourselves hysterical about it because it was just the funniest thing where I'm like, where the heck are you? And I turn around and she's like literally like staring down.
Well, at least she took it well. It could have been the other way. It's like you're blasting and then she's like, I'm lost. And it's like, come back for me. It's like, no, what? I'm sorry. Save yourself. And then she's like, you didn't come back for me. It
was the funniest thing. It was like the most wonderful experience that we've ever had together, and it bonded us together, and it was so funny to this day. We still laugh about that shit.
It's like he came back for me. He loved me. And in an alternate universe, that motherfucker didn't come back for me, and that's why we never got married.
I sat there and I told them, like, all right, we're going to have to start you on the basics. I'm like, I'm going to have to hook up the old Nintendo, and you're going to play your way through through Mario and all that.
That was a compatibility test if you came back for her. Because if you didn't, that was it. That relationship was over. All right, so I when you sent me this story, I had to chuckle because I looked at it. I was like, wait a minute, this guy got death threats over a game being released, and then I'm like, okay, so this game everyone hates now, but people are going crazy, and that's gaming in a nutshell.
Oh, yeah. That's gaming in a nutshell. That's the thing that made it funny is you have two different stories that I sent you. One was from Kotaku, where the guy that wrote the article saying, "Hey, Hello Game said the game's gonna be delayed by 2 months on PC or a week on PC." Like not 5 minutes after he posted it on, like the guy literally put an update to the story saying, like, "Hey, it wasn't me that I delayed it. Hello Games did," because he was getting all these death threats from like the hardcore fans, saying that like, "Oh, da da da," like that, it's all your fault. Like it was so insane how like hardcore No Man's Sky fans were doing it. And then the second article was the whole thing how like Sean Murray from Hello Games was getting death threats because the game that released wasn't what they quote unquote said that it was going to do, and I have to like so I've watched a whole bunch of different things on it. Like if you ever want to see a really good way of somebody, like there's some people that don't like his way of doing it. I think it's hilarious. If you've heard of Jim Sterling, who does Jimquisition and stuff like that, on his YouTube channel, he literally did like a really good video on like comparing the like this is what was promised, this is what we got, blah, 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 blah. And even he sits there and says it. He's like, if you sit there and you look at it, like, yes, we were promised like a AAA game, but at the same time, you got to look at it. It's from a studio that had all of, a very, very small amount of people producing this game, which in itself is a very, very, very difficult thing to do, even if you have a really huge team to do it in. And it got to a point where he literally like got so much negative hate, like there was people that were like saying like that were the hardcore thing, that he came out with a follow-up video basically going over like how there's the regular fans, there are the fanboys, and then there's the sect of the fanboys which need to like die off like a can because of how toxic these type of people are.
I think Hillary Clinton calls those the deplorables.
Yeah. So it was like, it was interesting in the way that he kind of wrote this article and did this whole thing. And it was like, he's got a point, and it's not just a No Man's Sky thing. There's plenty of games out there that they do it. Now, for me, like there's people that played the game, the people that requested the refunds because they're like, this is BS, this is bullshit, this is, not what we were promised, this is not what I like agreed to put my money down towards, which, what, everybody's in their right, and good on Steam and all these places that lifted the whole 24-hour limit or the 2-week limit and the more than 2 hours gameplay of it, which was good on them for doing that, because technically, yeah, it was not the game that was quote unquote promised. Now, with that being said, I myself have enjoyed the game. Why? It is an exploratory game. It's a survival game. There's others out there. There are other ones that are out there that are better than this, that do the survival thing better than it. But playing the game, number one, even though it's not exactly what he showed off initially, it still is a beautiful game. And there's something Zen-like for me that just calms me down of like, hey, I'm going to hop in my ship, I'm going to fly down to this planet, I'm going to mine some minerals and stuff like that and sell them on the market and do this and do that. It's Zen-like for me. I've enjoyed the game. I haven't played that much of it, and you could tell, like, even looking at the numbers online, like there have been articles of how much drop-off they've had of players concurrently playing the game at the same time. That, yes, it's lost a lot of traction, but there are people that like the game.
Yeah, and the same thing, on my end, now, I had a friend of mine, Liz, who has been Obsolete Gamer doing reviews and stuff as well. She got the game, and she had no problems. I, on the other hand, had problems. And my system has played tons of games, and I had issues. Now, once I, got like a later patch and stuff, it started working fine. And since then, I like the game. But it's kind of like when they had an issue with Arkham Knight, just because later on I was able to get it working and it was fine, that doesn't mean that all of a sudden I'm going to be like, oh, I'm working, so, forget the issue. So, right. Like you, I'm the same thing. If the game isn't what you expected, if the game's having issues, if they didn't deliver on what they promised, then, fine. Then you should get your money back, and, you should let them know that it wasn't acceptable. But, I mean, man, the things that's been, said, like the way it's said, I mean, come on, guys. You have to get to a point where you can communicate properly, because it does get drowned out. And I get it too, guys. When people go online, and it's easy to just pick out when someone just says crazy shit. I get it. That's what you do. You pick crazy shit. Like this guy who sent the death threat to the Kotaku guy. He said, "Your little article, No Man's Sky being delayed, has made me hate you to my very core. It's the only thing I live for, and you go and write that bullshit about delay. Instead of visiting London later this month, I think I'll come by and say hi to you and fuck you up. You think you can get away with you think you can get away with it that easy? Making fun of our Reddit page also sounds like you have a death wish. We will find you. Be afraid, human. We are coming for you." I like the way he calls him human, as if that guy isn't a human.
Like that's the thing, is like the game itself. What's funny is after it launched, like I had coworkers of mine that are like, "So how is it?" And I would explain to them like, "It's this and this and this and this." And they were like, "What do you think of it?" I said, "I like it, but it's not going to be for everybody." I said, it really, No Man's Sky, it comes down to what do you want to get out of the game? Honestly. Because if you want a game that you can explore, you can go at your own pace, you can do all those cool things, you're going to enjoy the game. If you wanted this whole, like, I want to fly around the galaxy and da-da-da, and then see if I can find somebody else and it'll be cool, don't play it. If you're expecting the visuals from what they showed off, don't play it.
And that's another thing. Some people talked about like what's in the center of the galaxy, and people went on like YouTube and of course people posting spoilers. They're like, "Oh, when I found out what's in the center, that killed the game. It's so stupid." It's like, really? It's like when you hear about a mystery novel, and then the mystery isn't some mind-blowing mystery and you get mad, and it's like, really? I mean, if they tell you it's about exploring, it's about, learning languages, it's about all this other stuff, but it also happens to have some mysteries in the center of the galaxy. But that's all you focus on, because it's like, oh, it must be mind-blowing.
Well,
it's like, come on, kids.
This is the thing that's interesting, is if you sit there and you think about it, that whole thing of, hey, you need to get to the center of the galaxy, that was literally patched into the game right before it released. The original game that they had, there was no like thing that you wanted to do. They patched that whole, like, you're trying to get to the center of the galaxy, literally right before it came out, because it got to a point where I remember reading somewhere where they kind of like at the last minute they were like, "Hey, so what's the end game of the game?" And everyone was like, "Really, there is none." And that was when like these guys were like, well, usually when you make a game, you want to have like some sort of end goal, and that's what your players are going to play towards. And that was when they kind of like, oh yeah, we didn't even think about that. Like, but it's kind of like that whole thing of like with the game industry itself, like it makes you wonder, like they said, okay, it makes you wonder how much pressure Sony may have put down onto them in saying like, hey, we need a specific release date. And, Sean Murray and Hello Games was like, well, we could probably get something around this time, blah, 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 blah. And that was like, cool, that's your release date. And then when they realized like, hey, we're going to need more time, they're like, no, you're releasing it at the time. Like it makes you wonder how much, because everybody knows like look at the shit from like EA and stuff like that, where when they released the Battlefields and all that, like they pretty much like pressure these guys to like, hey, when's it coming out? Oh, we can have something around this time. Okay, it's coming out that time. Like they put the pressure on those guys.
Or the split with Blizzard. Back in the day, before it was active Blizzard, it was like, oh man, it takes a long time for Blizzard to come out with a game, but man, I know when the new Warcraft or StarCraft RTS comes out, it's going to be awesome. And then, nowadays, something will come out, and it still may take a long time, like a Diablo, but then you'll still not be happy. But and it's a mixture because of the Activision influence.
Yeah.
But then you'll have maybe faster things like with the World of Warcraft patches or whatever, or the expansions. But even if it takes a long time, they won't get that benefit of a doubt for the long time in between releases.
That's the one thing that Blizzard has always been Blizzard, in the sense of it will take them some time to make a game, but you know when that game comes out, it's got that Blizzard polish on it. I mean, look at Overwatch. Like, that freaking thing came out and it was like, Jesus Christ. Like, how many people out there said, like, oh, so it's like Team Fortress 2? And many people compared it to that, but at the same time, like, how many people were not upset or anything like that, that it was, quote-unquote, like TF2. Why? Because it had that, like, Blizzard sheen to it, which was beautiful. I mean, I love playing that game. And it's like, shit, these like, you got to give it to Blizzard. Like, they'll take something, they'll make a game, and they'll freaking, like, work the shit out of that game and make it amazing. You know?
Yeah, you could still complain, just like with things in Diablo 3. There were things to complain about, but
yeah.
At least when it came out, you know, people liked it. There might have been things that they didn't like. They're like, oh, this class or this thing, or why didn't they add this, or why did they remove this from Diablo 2 to 3? But still, overall, it was like, oh, okay, well, it still ran, but you know, it wasn't like broken to all holy hell like some other releases that come out. But you know, there's always going to be critics. But I mean, yeah, from death threats to, I heard some people call No Man's Sky the return game simulator.
My other favorite name for it is No Man's Lie, is another one that's funny. Yeah. But the one thing that made me laugh, though, in thinking of this, whereas, like, speaking of the Activision Blizzard thing, is so, and I was going to mention this to you before, and I'll probably bring it up now, and you'll probably I'm sure have something to say about this. But, so, with Activision, with the Call of Duty machine that they have rolling, that they've been pumping out games just about every single year with these things, I would like to know your thoughts on the fact that on the new Call of Duty that's coming out, on Infinite Warfare, that the only way that you can get the Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered is by pre-ordering or getting that special edition of Infinite Warfare. My question to you is, do you honestly think they're going to sell as many copies of Infinite Warfare if they were to separate the Modern Warfare remaster from the game itself?
No, and see, and there are other games that's trying to do that now, is bundle games together like that. They tried to do that with, like, releases of even expansions of games, or like a new game's coming out. It's like, oh, buy this game and you'll get like a pre-release, you know, copy of a future game that's coming out that you know that you want. You know, it's like if you're playing this fancy MMO and you're like, oh, I want this MMO that's coming out. Oh, get this other game, and then you'll get the keys to the beta or something like that. I mean, they've been doing that for years, and now they're trying to do it with this. And they know the popularity of Call of Duty, and they know that people are waiting for it. It's like Madden. It's like, you know, that'd be another thing. If EA's trying to relaunch their NBA, well, I don't know if they've fully given up. I haven't checked the latest news, but I know with their NBA. Yeah, I know with the NBA, they were trying so bad to relaunch that, and the last time they tried to relaunch it, it failed miserably. But if they wanted to try and relaunch their NBA series, they'd probably be like, hey, you want to get Madden? You have to buy NBA to get the next Madden. And that's what I feel like what they're doing here with Call of Duty.
And that was the funny thing about it, because I had a discussion with some of my coworkers about it. And, like, one guy was like, you know, man, I really want to get the HD remaster of Modern Warfare 4, but I don't want to get Infinite Warfare. And he was like, dude, I'm apt to buy the freaking Infinite Warfare, cut open the box, get the code for the remaster of Modern Warfare, and then just trade in the Infinite Warfare without even playing it. And then, like, we got into this whole discussion of, like, you know, I don't understand why they wouldn't sell it separately, And one guy was like, dude, because they don't want to sit there and have to post the numbers that their Call of Duty Modern Warfare remaster outsold their new game because more people were interested in that, you know? And then I started laughing about it, and I said, you know, the funny thing about it is that game's going to come out, and you know it's going to like top their sales of all of Call of Duty ever. But at the same time, it's like it makes you wonder how much of those numbers are actually padded because people are buying the game for that Modern Warfare remaster.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the Xbox One. I mean, there was a report that those numbers were inflated because there were so many that was given away. And then they were like, oh, they don't count the sales of when they give them away. And it's like, no, yeah, they actually were counting those when they gave it away to establishments.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that they gave to like NFL and to establishments so they could use the package to broadcast because they had the TV plug-in and all that. And they counted that on the sales that they were broadcast, and they were still lower than the PS4 sales.
Which
and
is sad.
It's like, really? You counted those that you gave away in promotions and all this, and you, like, come on, guys. You know someone's going to do the numbers. If you have a battle, Xbox One versus PS4, you think someone isn't going to actually get the full numbers? Just don't.
And that's an interesting kind of like segue back to the original story, whereas if you look at it, Blizzard basically said that Legion has sold the most amount of copies that they've had of any expansion, and that they've had the highest player count playing the game again since like forever. And then I laughed because I realized like, oh, that's right, that ever since they stopped releasing how many actual concurrent subscribers they have, like they haven't said how many. And that's an interesting thing because I remember the last time they posted of like how many people were still subscribed to World of Warcraft, like it was dropping down pretty quick.
Yeah, but wasn't top numbers like, I mean, it was a lot. I mean, I don't even remember the highest number, but that can't be.
Yeah, no, highest I think it ever got was, I think, like consistent was like 15, 16 million people.
Yeah, that's what I heard, like 15 or something. So
yeah.
I doubt Legion brought that back. That they must be going off of some other number.
Yeah, because I know, like, right the last time that they reported, like, hey, this is how many people we have subscribed, like, it was down to, like, under 7. And I was like, damn, dude, like, they need to do something to bring that back because, like, if you look at it, that is their moneymaker there at Blizzard. That's what funds all their other games.
You know what Blizzard needs to do? They need to pull a Windows, and just all of a sudden you get like a little upgrade box, and it just enables your Blizzard. They give you the next expansion free, and it like enables it for like 30 days, and all of a sudden, bam! Look at that! All our subscribers are back.
Mm-hmm. That'd be hilarious. Look at that! We got 30 million people subscribed. It's like, yeah.
Eat our ass.
That's why I always say, if you ever want to see the longevity of an MMO, don't go by how many subscribers have subscribed within the first month. Give it 2 months and then see how many people are playing.
Yeah, seriously. Don't count bots either.
Exactly.
It's like everybody has to type something. It's like when you have, are you a real person?
Yeah.
Everyone has to pass that test. It's like you have to pass a Turing test or something for you. It's like, all right, now you're real. We're gonna count you now. All right, so we're going to be back with another show very soon, and I hope you enjoyed our show. Look at that. We were actually kind of normal. We didn't really do anything crazy this time. So
that was, yeah.
I don't know.
We behaved ourselves for once.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's good for us or bad for us. I guess we'll let the fans decide.
We'll find out how many views we get.
Yeah. All right, so we'll be back for another show. Until next time, I'm Jay, and Randy, thanks for coming on, man.
Hey, anytime, man.